40% of the people who come before me have a history that involves narcotics. 85% of them are black, who have become completely disillusioned with our society.
You know, gangs had died. Used to be Earl Flynn's, Bishops, Shane Gang, all that's East Side. West Side was FAs, that's them Finkel Avenue boys.
BKs, Earl Flynn's, FAs. Finkel Avenue, where I moved to at the tender age of 10 in 1956. Wasn't hardly no black people living there. My father, he had a good gig, good job out at the Chrysler plant. My mother, she was working for the city. I was the only child. My brother had died. He was 4 years old, and I was about 6 months or something like that when he died of a enlarged heart. That's what they say he had. So I became the only child, and both my mother and father was working, so you could say, you know, I had a little bit of advantage, but I grew up in a neighborhood that was middle class like, but they came from the east side mostly. Everybody came from the east side, either from down south, and they were hardcore. That was around Finkel, Dexter, Linwood, where the Young Boys Incorporated, they a couple of generations behind me, man. This was in 1956 when I was over there. So we made the way for them. So when 1967 came around, you know, we changed the whole thing around because we challenged authority. And we were fighting the elite gangsters, Jews, and the Italians. See, y'all keep forgetting that gangsters run this country. Ain't nothing legit about what they do. What they do is above the law. Then you hire them to make the law by voting and with their political system. And they can sell dope, you know, and stuff, but they call it the pharmaceutical companies. And they can sell morphine and cocaine through the medical profession. And they got everybody hooked on drugs. But you get a prescription from your doctor. Then at the same time, they get raw, uncut drugs and sell it on the streets. They have to go and get it now, because a black man ain't got the money or transportation to go and ship in drugs past the customs and whatever, because, you know, everything a black man do, he looks suspicious. So he gonna get checked at the border. So it takes somebody white to go and get it past customs and whatever, and bring it over here, no matter what it is. And they sell it on the streets, or give it to the brothers to sell. And that's why over a couple of generations, we got that kind of mentality. As a result,
Yo, what up, explorers? Today we're inside Detroit. We're in Detroit. I said I'll probably never end up exploring in Detroit. It's too far out of the way. You know, I heard crazy stories about people always getting their stuff robbed inside abandoned places. I'm not gonna probably go to Detroit. I ended up in Detroit. You know, we hit Gary. It was an eye-opener. I wanted to go to Gary forever to get those shots, and we did it. I'm not saying it's what the news portrayed, because, you know, every dark place is light. So there's good and bad people everywhere. But it's just, in general, things are really bad out here. You know, there is abandoned stuff everywhere, more than I've ever seen anywhere. And it's crazy. I mean, to start this video off, we're going to Cooley High School. It's an abandoned school. It opened up in 1928 and closed in 2010. It closed in 2010 just because of the decline in enrollment. No one was coming to school. People were dropping out. And it wasn't just that. There was a lot of budget cuts, too. And this was one of the schools that went out. So today's video is just a whole bunch of just Detroit abandoned. How much, as many as we can fit in one day before dark. They did a really good job sealing this place, though.
now I didn't go to Cooley High, but Cooley High is located on the Finkel. You know, Finkel and Hubble. And when we first moved over there on Finkel, Wildermere, those white boys that went to Cooley gave us trouble. Eventually became all black. But when black people took over the city here in Detroit, they started stealing, man, from the schools. They started stealing anyway. Let's see. By the time Kwame Kilpatrick, after he got through doing this thing, black people don't have no more faith in black people. Once again, we go back to the slave master. Now he's stealing too. Matter of fact, you know, he's stealing worse than we are, but he knows how to cover his tracks. He knows how to make it look like he's not killing you and he's not stealing from you. Deception. That word deception again. So we lost our soul. We're losing our soul. Chasing after that dollar. And the practical things that we need to do as a whole, black people need to do. One thing, you need to recognize who your enemy, natural enemy is. And he got us herded like cattle. He feeding off of us. Feeding off of our ideas, feeding off of our energy. And we can't see it, see. Spiritually. I don't like to use that word spiritually. I like to take mentally and substitute it for spiritually. Because spirit, the word spirit comes from the word inspiration, inspire. But we saying it like a ghost, you know, like something we can't see. And the same could be said about mental activity. You can't see it until we manifest what we think into reality. But either way, I might slip up and say spiritually, because I've been saying it also for a long time. But our mentality is the thing that I'm concerned about. Here in Detroit, we got a lot of abandoned buildings. My next couple of videos are going to be about why we occupy the neighborhoods. The Caucasian, he's occupying Detroit right now, the downtown part. But we occupying the neighborhoods in Detroit. Some of us is moving out to the suburbs. A lot of us is in the suburbs. Farmington Hills, Oak Park, Madison Heights, Hazel Park. We moving out there. But it's part of Detroit, but it's not the core part of Detroit. Metropolitan Tri-County area. And in the neighborhoods like Finkel and Dexter, that's where you're going to see a whole lot of abandoned buildings on the east side. Mac, Helen, Concord, Forest, all over in there. It's abandoned buildings. Now, you got a lot of young YouTubers from Detroit, Mitch, Sister Mitch, the General, Cybersuit Suddy, but they're not interested in building up nothing. I am. I got a little YouTube following, and you know, some of them are on that same vibe. We need to take them abandoned homes and give them to the homeless, but instead of investing millions of dollars and tearing them down, put the money into rehabbing those houses, showing them how to rebuild those houses and teaching them a trade. And the same with, we got a lot of commercial buildings, like you seen that school. You see how big that school was. But if we pull our resources together, we don't need to depend on these politicians for nothing. We can do it on a grassroots level. Next couple of videos are going to be about the grassroots growing up.